You're listening to the Business Marketing Show, episode number 24. You can find us at businessmarketingshow.com or on iTunes. Hi everyone, this is Ed Keay-Smith from the Business Marketing Show with my co-host, Mr. Brendan Tully. Welcome, Brendan.
Hi Ed, how
are you, mate?
I'm fabulous.
He's fabulous. So that is good to hear, Brendan. Today we're going to be talking about a fabulous subject that we both love, and that is CMS systems and WordPress.
Correct.
We won't be covering e-commerce systems. We're just talking.
Kind of. We'll touch
on it, but the main focus is CMS, which is a content management system. That's what the CMS stands for, and WordPress, which is a web platform, which is also a content management system. So that is the subject for today. So one of the things we love about WordPress is that it is an open source platform. So you're not paying for the actual basic platform to use. You can end up paying for other add-ons and plugins that we'll go into later. But one of the definite advantages is the low cost to access this type of system.
Yep.
And something like it 5-10 years ago, I mean, it's been around for almost 10 years at least, I think, WordPress, but many years ago, you couldn't get a content management system unless you got one custom designed from someone that was costing you $10,000 just for that to start with, let alone the actual design of the site. So,
should we bring it? Let's talk about I wanted to talk about this because we talked about in the last episode about the change in customer behavior or consumer behavior and websites becoming more important, and we have talked on a previous episode about web hosting and how that is probably, you talk about it more in the workshops, the hub and spoke marketing model. And we talked before about how the hosting is kind of the foundation of everything. It's almost the foundation of your online marketing. And next up from that, I guess if you're thinking about it, the pyramid stacking elements on top of each other, the hosting would be kind of at the bottom. And then the next one up would be the CMS or content management system, which sits on top of the hosting. And the reason why I wanted to talk about that in this episode is because I've had a couple of people this week come through asking about web stuff and online marketing, and the two online stores in particular, or two of them were online stores, but basically I'm not really able to help them with the online marketing because the CMS they are on is horrible. And because that foundation is poor or weak or has problems, then we can't do any of the higher level elements that are stacked on top of that, like SEO or AdWords or any sort of traffic generation, because the lower levels have problems. So we talk about this in hosting, that unreliable hosting flows through to, if the website's offline or it's slow or has problems, it will flow through to all your other online marketing, and things like AdWords and SEO won't work properly or won't work as well. The same thing with the CMS. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. So to be specific about what we're talking about there, we're talking about the actual underlying code, or how the website is structured and how the code is written. And we would classify this as on-page factors. Would that be more technical or accurate to say? The on-page factors of governing how the site is actually built. We're not talking about any external things to do with SEO or links, or we're just talking about how the actual website is built, how the code is written, and how that is interpreted by companies like Google or any other search engines.
Yeah, I guess so. It's probably, so the CMS is basically a piece of software. So I guess an analogy for that might be the hosting would be, for example, the equivalent of your computer, the actual physical computer, and the CMS, the software, would be the equivalent of your Windows or your Mac operating system. So if you think about it like that, if your hardware is running badly, then if there's a problem with the hardware, then everything on top of that will have a problem. If the computer's slow, everything else will be slow. And then if you have, if your Windows is corrupt or your Mac operating system is corrupt or old, then all the software that you have running on top of that is going to be problematic, or it's going to crash. So it's the same thing with the website, the hosting, and then CMS, which is the core software that sits on top of that, and all the interrelated code and under the bonnet stuff that you don't actually see that makes it work.
And a lot of people don't have any clue or understanding about this sort of stuff, and they don't necessarily want to know. So what would be the steps that someone should put in place? What would be best practices when someone wants to go and get a website rebuilt or create a completely new website for a project or a business? What are the questions that they should be asking, and what is it that they should be looking for in terms of what they're getting a web developer, not talking about a web designer at the moment, and we have mentioned the difference between these, but what are the questions and things they should be looking for a web developer for building a content management system?
Well, I guess both of us are a bit biased, but I think you need a content management system. So you don't have to have a CMS. You can just slap the web pages up on the hosting to just the raw code, and they'll load, and that'll be okay. But that really doesn't work in today's world, because you need to do so much more with the website. That might have been okay 10 years ago, but not anymore today. So I would say step one is you need a CMS. That's kind of non-negotiable. And with the CMS, you will have the capability to, at a minimum, you should be able to edit most of the text on the website. You won't be able to edit you might be able to edit some aspects of the layout, but you won't be able to change the design in any substantial way. You might be able to swap images in and out, but the basic grid layout, you probably, unless you are a developer, you won't be able to change yourself as, I guess, a business owner or an end user. But I guess step one, you need a CMS, non-negotiable, right?
Absolutely. It's a bit like you can have access to a Ferrari or a Holden Astra. They're the same price, so why wouldn't you choose the Ferrari? I mean, that to me is what it's like.
So that's an interesting analogy, but
yeah, and today it's probably not a good one. Well, people around the world know what a Ferrari is, but a Holden Astra is just a cheap, common, small sedan for those in other parts of the world listening to what that is. But you can get a standard, just plain old, boring, basic, HTML website that doesn't have any functionality, any ability to edit content in any way, shape, or form. And there's no real cost difference in the underlying platform. So you can have WordPress, which is the Ferrari, or you can have a HTML website, which is your more normal sort of cheap sedan. Why would you not choose a Ferrari when there's no real price difference?
Yep, I agree.
You finished laughing at me, Brendan.
I have.
I resemble that remark.
You resemble it, or you resent it?
I resemble it.
You resemble it. Nice. Okay, so we need a CMS. I guess the second step would be being clear on what the website needs to do, or what sort of website it is. And I guess at this point, the key differences would be whether it's an e-commerce website or a fairly standard small business website. I guess it's more about being clear on the features the website needs today and the features it may need in the future. But yeah, I guess I don't know if you have a different take on this, but I'd split the choice for what CMS to go for into two: whether you're using whether you're an e-commerce business or whether you're a non-e-commerce business. So
absolutely, yeah, no question at all. And they are two very different things in my world, as well as I believe your world. So
yeah, absolutely. So if you're an e-commerce business, WordPress probably isn't the best choice.
No.
Something like Shopify, BigCommerce, or Volusion might be a better platform for you because they are e-commerce specific. And I guess an e-commerce business has very different requirements to a normal business website. So an e-commerce business is basically using the CMS and the website software as a business system. Like the whole business is effectively running on top of that. Orders are going in and out. There's inventory managed in there, pricing. There's a whole bunch of different online marketing features and stuff that an e-commerce website requires, as opposed to a standard small business website. So that might be like we talked about before, might be a conversation for another day, but that's something that you need to keep in mind. And probably, I guess, the top three are probably BigCommerce, Shopify, and Volusion if you're heading down that path and looking at an e-commerce business. Would you agree?
Absolutely. When do I ever disagree with you, Brendan?
Sometimes you disagree. You disagreed on the analogy before. You thought it was a good analogy. I don't know if it was the best analogy.
Oh, absolutely wonderful. So Yes, two completely different tools. I mean, look, you can, if you really wanted to, you could have a small e-commerce website running off WordPress. There are plugins, e-commerce shopping cart systems that do attach to WordPress and work quite well. But if you're expanding from anything more than 50 products or something like that, or 100, maybe that would be a push in my world.
Yeah.
It's no point. So you may as well start with the right platform. If you think there's any chance of you expanding your product range, or you're going to have more products than what you've already got, then do that. And it's easier anyway. It's just far, far easier having something that's built to do a specific job.
Yep.
So
I would agree. So then, I guess for both of us, WordPress is our CMS of choice. Dog's barking out the window.
Are the dogs actually standing at the window barking out, or are they just they're outside of your window barking in?
I've got the window open, so I don't know where the dogs are, but they are having a party out there.
It's just coming at you live from the dog barking central.
But yeah, WordPress is our preferred CMS. Well, one, it is, like you said, it's open source, which means it's free. So there's no actual cost for the license, and also it is the most popular CMS in the world. It powers like something like 20% or 30% of all websites in the world now. So
yep.
There's a reason.
Even airlines use it.
What's with the noise today? Dogs, airplanes,
and there's dog websites that have it too. So so regardless of whether you're a puppy seller or whether you're an airline. Actually, airlines probably don't use WordPress. They probably have much more complex systems. But pretty interesting. We should do that as a test.
What's that?
I wonder how many different airlines actually are using WordPress. Interesting. I'm going to look at that just for something to do. So, sidetracked there by dogs and planes.
So what we're saying, okay, so it's open source, so it's free. It is the most popular CMS in the world, so and by a long way, not just by a little amount. So we're not completely biased in the sense that obviously we don't get any money from promoting WordPress, but there are other open source platforms out there, and there's a couple that we probably just should mention so people can go and check them out and have a look. Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with them, but in terms of support and add-ons and functionality and stuff you can do with WordPress, I feel these ones are a bit more limited. So the other ones are Drupal, Drupal. So Drupal.com is one, and Joomla, JOOMLA.com.
Well, I have here on the W3T Tech's website, usage of content management systems for websites worldwide. WordPress is number 1, 23.2%. Joomla is number 2, 2.9%. And Drupal number 3, 2.0%. So,
that's a big difference. That's a big difference. Yeah, and in terms of you may end up getting a site developed and designed by a company. It could be the same company, could be two separate companies, and you may not like them after a period of time and want to go somewhere else. It's much easier to find another WordPress developer than it is a Drupal or Joomla developer. Way easier. So for that reason, it makes sense to use WordPress.
Yep. So there's less lock-in. More people use it. More people are familiar with it because it's more popular. In terms of more developers are familiar with it. It's more search engine friendly. So it's probably by far the most search engine friendly platform. And what I mean by that is WordPress websites tend, all things being equal, if you took a WordPress website and a Joomla website, the WordPress website would rank higher, basically because the code is cleaner and it's more search engine friendly. So if you are going to be relying on search traffic or SEO or ranking in Google, then ideally start off with WordPress. What else we got? There's over 19,000 free plugins available for WordPress, and a plugin is basically an app that adds functionality in there. So for many, if you don't have a CMS or if you have a less popular CMS and you want to add a feature to it, if there's no plugin available, then it needs to be custom coded, which means money, time, not necessarily is going to do everything you want to do, whereas almost any feature you can think of, there'll be a WordPress plugin for it that can be installed for free or very cheaply that adds that functionality, and it's robust and it works and whatever. So.
Yeah, I learnt the hard way with WordPress. I've been using WordPress now for probably, I don't know, 8 years, 7 or 8 years at least. And my business partner, Alan, he's been using it since the day it came out, basically, and he swears by it, loves WordPress, always has. And, 7 or 8 years ago, I was mucking around with other website development platforms. They weren't cloud-based technically. I mean, I know they're all cloud-based in the sense that they're on a server somewhere, but it was software that you had on your computer that you built the site with, and then you uploaded it somewhere or whatever, I won't mention the names because it was pretty good, and there was a couple of them that were pretty good. But Alan said, yeah, but it's not, it's not a content management system. It's not a real content. So, and then finally, when I learnt a few lessons the hard way, I switched over to using WordPress and have never looked back. So we're recommending to people now who maybe have that way of thinking is don't learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Just bloody use WordPress.
Yeah, and I mean, you can actually, as long as your design is fairly good, you can actually move a website to WordPress CMS. So we do that for a number of clients. So long as the design is fairly modern and it's clean, you can actually take the design and rebuild it on top of WordPress. We've done that for a few. There's one in particular, I won't name the name, but just by moving it to WordPress, because the code was so much better and so much more search engine friendly, just by that step alone, they now rank number 1 in Google for all their target terms. The website looks identical to what it did before, but the underlying engine and software driving it's completely different. The code's much cleaner, much better, and it just there's a lot of underlying code that the search engine look at in order to determine what a page is about and how to rank it. So because the code is cleaner and it has a lot more of that SEO or search engine functionality built into the code, that's why it ranks higher. So
yeah. Look, I've experienced that personally with my own websites, but we've also had the same thing with clients as well. And just that simple fact of moving across to WordPress has improved things quite dramatically. Yep. And that's the only thing that's changed. Nothing else was done. No more external links were built or nothing like that was done. It was just shifting it to a different platform that Google likes much more.
Yep. So, we probably should point out that WordPress, the CMS software, is completely different to WordPress, the blogging platform. A lot of people get confused between the two.
Yes.
So there is WordPress.com, which is the blogging platform, which is not what we're talking about. We're talking about WordPress.org, which is the CMS software that you download, the actual software package. So two different things.
Two different things. And you can either download it, like download the actual installation file to put on your hosting server, but for any hosting server or hosting platform worth its salt, or even for the last 5 or 6 years, will have the automatic installation of the most current WordPress version available within their system. So it's like a 5-minute install, click a couple of buttons, fill in some details, and it self-installs on your hosting platform. You don't have to do all FTP or file transfer protocol, which is what FTP stands for. You don't have to upload things too much. You still may have to do a little bit of that. So, but yeah, the other one is definitely where people get confused, and then they go and build their website on the .com version, which is hosted by WordPress itself. It's not on their own hosting, and then it's limited. There's only a limited amount of apps or plugins you can use that WordPress allow. So you do have a lot of restrictions, and then you can't. Well, you can move it. You can download it and move it somewhere else, but nowhere near as flexible and not what you want to do.
No. Okay. Anything else you can think of?
Have we mentioned that WordPress is really good? we have said that, haven't we? Yeah,
WordPress is really good. We've said that a couple of times.
Yeah, and look, here's the thing. We are, Brendan and I, both people who really will not recommend something that we haven't used or think is good ourselves. We don't believe in making our clients or our listeners the guinea pigs of any particular product. So we're not going to say go and use WordPress if we're not using it. And in terms of standard websites, not e-commerce websites, that's all either of us use is WordPress. So if we were saying to you go and use WordPress, but we had all our sites in Joomla or Drupal, then you could probably question why the hell are they saying this? What's in it for them? And that's it. There is nothing in it for us. We just think it's the best platform.
Yep. Agreed.
Easy peasy. Yeah, and in terms of the options you've got for marketing and improving your marketing, that's where we get into talking about plugins and the different add-ons that you've got. And one example, and I'm pretty sure you use the same SEO plugin, SEO by Yoast. I think is that your sort of default?
It is indeed.
Okay, so that's a fantastic tool that allows you to manage all your on-page search engine components in one place. Easy to change your title tags, meta description tags, etc. And it gives you a guideline. It sort of it has a little like a traffic light system. Red for you've done a really crap job. Amber is you're getting there, and green is A-OK. You've got all the right components, the right keyword mix, the right etc. And it walks you through a lot of that. So even if you're not super duper SEO savvy, even a lay person could potentially improve their SEO just by following the prompts and the guidelines in that tool. You still may need to get help and guidance for other things, but certainly rather than just trying to use the default WordPress system, it's 100 times better.
Yep, it's free too.
It's free too.
Yep.
Did we mention that it was free?
Free. There you go.
Yeah, so, a lot of the good ones are free too, so that's good.
So what are the takeaways? So you need a CMS, absolutely. You need to really, before making any decisions, you should have a features list of what the website needs to do or what features it needs to have. And if you're an e-commerce business with a lot of products or doing a lot of order volume, WordPress might not be a good fit. Maybe it's worth looking at Shopify or something else. If you have an existing website, then it can be moved across to, if you're happy with the design, this is typically why people come to us. They're happy with the design, but they can't edit and do certain things with the CMS they're on. So it can be moved across to WordPress. What else? The most search engine friendly, mainly because the code is much better and cleaner.
Oh, the other thing which is often discounted, because one of the benefits of a content management system is you can have multiple users accessing the account with different levels of access. So as an example, you could have someone who writes content for you. Now, the only access they have to your website for logging in is the ability to go in and do a post or edit a post or a page of content. But they can't go into any more of the deeper administration accessible areas that you could basically delete the site if you wanted to, or make radical changes to the site. Even typically this is by accident. This happens because they are limited to their accessibility. There's 4 or 5 different levels. The top one being admin. So that makes it really good when you've got staff or you've got business partners. They can have their own their own login. And that way you can see who's doing what, when they've logged in last, and it keeps a record of all that sort of information. And it enables, like if you've got a staff member who's working for you and then they leave, then you as the admin person can go and delete them from having any access to the site from that moment on. So you have a lot of control over that side. So I think that's a big benefit that often gets overlooked for WordPress or content management systems in general, is that ability to share the access with other staff or other contributors.
Yeah. Cool. So if you're already on WordPress, you should have a look at the Yoast SEO plugin for WordPress or whatever it's called, something like that. Yoast, Y-O-A-S-T.
Yeah, it's actually called SEO by Yoast, I'm pretty sure. SEO by Yoast.
Okay. And then probably also for backup, we talk about, we use Wordpress for backup, which is a third-party backup tool from Automatic, the people who made WordPress. $5 a month for the basic backup off-site, all automated.
No brainer. Yep. No brainer.
So those are probably 2 things if you're already on WordPress to look at. And also we talked about hosting a lot in the hosting episode, that to look at that first. It should be on good quality, reliable, fast hosting. And if you're paying $5 a month for your hosting, you probably are underpaying, and it's probably false economy. It's hurting you somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely. And you certainly want to be using your I keep forgetting the name of it. The content loading. Oh, come on, Brendan. You're leaving me hanging. You leave me hanging here.
Content delivery network. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, thank you. The content delivery network, and the one we use is
Cloudflare.
Cloudflare.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I was having a brain fade there. So Cloudflare is very cool. You've been using it for a lot longer than I have, and I have become a definite convert, and so has Alan. He doesn't shut up about it now, actually. Alan, if you're listening to this, you can stop talking about Cloud. He just loves Cloudflare. Yeah.
So do I. It's very good.
He said, give Brendan a big kiss.
Oh, really?
For telling us about Cloudflare.
Flirting with me over the
No,
internet.
he was very, very happy. Very happy with it.
Cool. Well, that's good. And if it's all too hard, you can just send us an email. One of us. Send us... Well, what's our email address? info@thebusinessmarketingshow.com?
Info at Business Marketing Show, not the.
Okay.
There's no the in front of it. That's okay, just so we don't confuse people. So info at businessmarketingshow.com.
Awesome.
That's a good way to get in touch. So we're done. So we'll go out and investigate WordPress. I don't think you'll be disappointed, as long as you take the precautions like any other website and have it built by someone who has a clue what they're doing, which is us. We can help you with that. Shameless plug. And put precautions in place to back it up and all that sort of stuff, like we've talked about in other episodes, and you will not regret it. So thank you for your wisdom and knowledge, Mr. B.
Thanks, Ed, and we'll have a link to why, with more notes about WordPress and why it's the best and all that sort of stuff in the show notes.
Absolutely, and we'll link to that puppy shop that's outside your window. We'll have a link to that too. All right, thanks, mate. Catch you later.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to The Business Marketing Show. You can find us at businessmarketingshow.com or on iTunes.